And from the Teapot's point of view, she's all of a sudden feels this sense of like purpose again. Purpose in life, and she's like, this is so much better than before. Now she sees like the bulb that's planted inside of like the teapot as like her heart. Like now I get to like be the steward of this plant growing. Like, wow, so much purpose and value, like way more better than what I used to do.
Welcome, friends, to Season 2 of the Rooted Minds podcast, where we're coming together again as a family to talk about just the power of stories. And in this season, we're taking sort of a new bent than in our last season, where we're talking more specifically about short stories. Short stories have always meant a lot to us, and they're super cool because they're short. And so they can have a lot of meaning packed into a small space. And so they're great if you feel like someone who doesn't feel like you have the skill set for reading or doesn't do a whole lot of reading. This is a great place to start. So this one that we're talking about today, the Teapot, is a great one to start out with. It takes 5 minutes to read. It's super short and it has so much meaning packed into it. And so we're going to talk about that today. Cracked, not useless, the hidden meaning of the teapot. And Audrey's going to lead us.
Let's go.
Yes, the teapot. It is a very short story, but it's deceptively meaningful. So first, let's just talk about like what is the story? Like, what can you remember? Like, what happens in the teapot?
Well, the main character is a teapot.
Yes.
A very beautiful teapot.
Yeah.
And the whole story is coming from the point of view of the teapot's thoughts, and kind of like understanding of the world she lives in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of herself
Yes.
as well.
And so much of her meaning and value comes from what she's able to do, like being the one that pours the tea, and how she gets to be the centerpiece of these like really important gatherings. Because when you gather for tea, it's like a really special sacred time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's really proud of those things that like make her special, like her
Because she has
spout.
the spout and she has the handle.
Other people don't have the spout.
Shiny, almost queenly.
We did watch or listen to a YouTube version of it that had AI generated pictures. And at one point there was the spout was swan-like, and it had like the spout, but it also had a swan head.
A little swan head
At the same time.
What?
So AI took that imagery
That's
very
funny.
literally.
Yeah.
It's metaphorical.
I can't get that out of my head.
Yes.
Very proud of her graceful spout.
Yeah. And it's interesting because in the story, her lid is cracked. And she's always talking about, but we don't talk about that. We talk about my beautiful aspects that are pristine and perfect, but we're not going to talk about my cracked lid.
Right.
And then one day, she falls and is fully cracked. Her spout is gone and her handle is gone and her lid's already cracked, so that doesn't change. But she's deemed as not useful anymore, and so she gets thrown away, which is very sad because her whole purpose was to pour the tea, right? And so now she's like thrown away, but what happens then?
So she gets thrown out into like the garden or the backyard or whatever. And somehow, like, I guess, did somebody like plant something in her?
Mm-hmm.
Well, a little girl came and found her.
A little girl, yes.
Yeah. And took her out and decided, I know what to do. She thought she could plant something inside of the pot.
Yeah. And from the teapot's point of view, she's all of a sudden feels this sense of like purpose again.
Yeah.
Purpose in life. And she's like, this is so much better than before. Now she sees like the bulb that's planted inside of like the teapot as like her heart. Like now I get to like be the steward of this plant growing. Like, wow, so much purpose and value, way more better than what I used to do.
Yeah. And then after this beautiful flower blooms, somebody sees it and decides that it needs a better pot. And so the plant gets uprooted and put into a new pot. But something that I think is interesting at the very end that the pot says, the teapot, she's like, I don't have any use anymore, because after they like planted the plant somewhere else, they threw the pot and she fully
Because
shattered.
they broke her in half to take the plant out.
Yes, so now she's just like a pile of shards.
Yeah.
And something that's beautiful about it though is she says, even though I can't have another purpose, like nobody can take away the memories of the purpose I did have. And so my original question is, what if the moments when we feel most broken are actually us being repurposed? And so I'd really like to originally first talk about the author Hans Christian Andersen, because I didn't actually realize this until I looked it up, but he's the author of The Ugly Duckling and The Little Mermaid and Emperor's New Clothes. So I think it's crazy that this like super famous author is writing this really tiny story, you know? But just interesting because he was born into poverty and he felt like an outsider, but he was like a high famous author, and so he was like in the circle of people who were in high society, but he didn't feel like that. And so it's interesting because a lot of his story, he feels himself, or like I don't know how to say that, but
he knows what it means to be broken.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But I would like to just talk about like some different aspects of the story. Like, first, let's talk about the spiritual and emotional application to what this story means and just the things about it.
Yeah, well, I think it's like really interesting just in the beginning, the way that the Teapot specifically tries to avoid talking about the thing that feels broken in the first place before she's majorly broken. You know, she's trying to avoid other people seeing her lid that's cracked. At the same time, though, she recognizes that everyone else is talking about her cracked lid. And so she's trying to put out there. And so she feels like she has to be the one to talk about all of her special features and how beautiful her spout is and her polished handle and all of these things. So I think it's like really interesting that before she's broken, like as a character in the beginning of the story, she starts out as this person who's like trying to claim this like self-worth almost by talking about all these things that are truly like really special about her, but in the process ignoring the things that are broken.
Well, I think it just speaks to like what our society, you know, says. Like, first of all, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the purpose-driven life, but like there's so much emphasis on purpose and not on like being.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
It's true.
like the nature of a teapot, or like the like to celebrate like the craftsmanship of that vessel, you know, versus like how many teas can she pour, or
Right.
Yeah.
or even just the fact that everybody is always focused on the flaw. Like, why are they only bringing up the negative, and why are they only highlighting that? Why does she have to be the one that draws out the beauty?
Yes.
Why
and
do
feels like she has to overinflate.
overcompensate for something that is a flaw? Like, there needs to be, I think, maybe more balance in that. But
Yeah, because there's such like just a jealous culture of like envy and wishing you had this or that, and it's crazy that the most special piece that's, you know, sitting here, like the teapot, feels inadequate.
Yeah.
Even so it's like none of them feel like
the centerpiece of the tea set
Yes.
is feeling inadequate, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's a very interesting note on just like womanhood too. Like the society's standards of like beauty and performance, and like how like internally crushing that can be. Like where one person sees a centerpiece and the centerpiece is feeling unable, like trying to avoid the crack.
Yeah.
And I think it's really like beautiful how like she ultimately, like she has the opportunity to experience another purpose, which is about like life, like carrying life, which I think reflects like a lot of just like the character of being a woman and life bringing, not just having children, but like that role in society of like carrying life and nurturing that.
Yeah.
And how like in the end, after she's experienced that like much more true kind of purpose, then she's able to just like treasure it.
Be content.
Yeah.
In wherever she is. So interesting because like you talk about this role of women in society and what is expected of them or what is honorable.
Right.
Or and it just makes me think of things that you've talked about. Nana, my mom, right? Like my mom had her season of being an active mother, wife, and then her husband died and she got cancer, and she had 20 years of basically being that fragmented pot for a lot of, like, from the outsider's perspective, like, what did you do with your life?
Yeah.
You know, but like the love that poured out of that brokenness impacted all of her children and her grandchildren.
Wow.
And so it's so interesting, and like, what is your like purpose in society? Like, how are you doing the things that you're expected to do? What if that isn't what the Lord allows you to do?
Yeah.
Because it's really good. Our culture seems to emphasize things that, like, we want beautiful things that can do beautiful things for us. We're very utilitarian. We like practicalness or whatever.
True.
And so as soon as that thing doesn't do what we thought it was going to do, it's not as useful to us or whatever, then it doesn't have the same value for some reason in our society. And so the teapot gets thrown out. Or whoever.
That feeling of being discarded or disregarded or
rejected.
And it's amazing how like heart-wrenching that moment is, because it's like 2 paragraphs into the story, you know. It's like it's like a page and a half long, and but if you like feel it in like your core, you're like, oh no.
But I think it's like so like interesting what you guys are both saying. Like there's like this beginning of like purpose, and then there's this like secondary purpose, which is like again very valuable, but the author still continues with the third segment, and it's like in that we want something like maybe it's not beautiful anymore, but it still can do something for us, like carry life. Well, there's a third segment of the story where
the third segment feels like it carries wisdom. You know, like we see from the shards, because he allows us to hear her thoughts beyond usefulness. We get to the place where we glean some wisdom, like memories are just as valuable as the actual event.
Yeah, that's so good.
And it's amazing how the teapot increases in that wisdom like progressively through the story. Like how when she's like initially first broken, like it's just as devastating to her, of course. But then she sort of like understands that maybe something, you know, when like the seed is planted, you know, then she realizes, okay, maybe there's like an even greater purpose here for me than even just pouring tea. Like all the rest of the tea set would be doing, you know, and what I thought was the greatest purpose for me. She finds this greater purpose, and the brokenness sort of gives her an appreciation for that. And then by the end, she's coming to an even greater wisdom of realizing that, like, I don't even need to have that purpose right now. I can just reflect on the memories of it. Which is incredible.
Which reflects, like, how God sees us, you know, where we don't even, not maybe, like, we've surpassed all the purpose. Just being is what is valuable to him.
And I think it's cool because the Lord asks us to just be, and in his mindset of that, he asks us to do things that don't make sense to other people. So it's like when the Lord asks you to do something that nobody else will understand, then you do it. With the understanding that his mindset towards you is that you can just be with me. And I think that's really beautiful.
That's good, and I think we're very multi-generational too. We've kind of been hinting at this already, but the story seems to be like a picture of a lifespan in a way, how it begins and then a middle and then an end. And, you know, it's, for me, as I get older, I feel encouraged by something like this, because I have places in my life that I feel like are like, that purpose is done, you know, and it's encouraging me to look back on it with like, almost like hope, even, because those moments and those times were not in vain necessarily.
Yeah.
But maybe God has a different kind of purpose for me now, even though that time of service in that way or whatever is done.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. Well, and the older you get, the more cracks you have.
Yeah.
The more life you've lived,
Yeah.
the more opportunity for things to fail. And it can really feel like it is a testament to your ability to hold it all together or not. And obviously that's not what is expected of us.
Yeah, and it's amazing because it's like, when you see a story like this, you're able to see such a broad picture, like you said, like the span of this teapot's life in a sense, you know, in just like a short amount of space. And so you can kind of like see and appreciate, you know, that like the way that they're like speaking in the beginning and this envious, jealous culture and striving after this purpose. You can kind of like feel how like, oh man, that doesn't even feel as close to as great of a purpose as later. But it's because you can see them so close together,
Right.
so the contrast is so big.
That's good.
As opposed to later when there's something organic and real growing inside of this teapot, you know?
Well, and even so, just even thinking about all of her flaws come because she's being used by others, like not used but handled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she can't control who's picking her up to pour.
She
was dropped. She's not like falling and breaking herself.
Yes.
You know, like there's a
Good point.
a sense of like letting go of the ability to control all the things. Like the way that she could have stayed pristine is not be touched, not be used.
Right.
Wow.
But submitting to the hands of people that could wreck you.
That is very true. Very true. Oh my goodness.
Oh, little teapot, where did you take us?
Teapot.
Yes.
Well, the teapot is such a powerful story. It was written initially for children, but it's clearly not just a children's tale. It's a story that helps us remember that we're not defined by our cracks, that purposes can come in different seasons, you know, and that's just so encouraging. And so wow, okay, I will cut
You
this
just
out.
cut this out, it's fine. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I totally blanked on even what I say at the end. Well, thanks for joining us for this episode. This teapot is such a worthy story to read, so take some time to read it if you haven't yet, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for joining us in Season 2 of the Rooted Minds podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, consider joining Rooted Minds, our growing learning community where we teach the arts. Click the link in the description to learn more. But until next time, may you find joy, grace, and peace in the pages you turn.